This is James Holder for FLTV in association with Macklin's Gym Marbella. We're in Boston, Massachusetts. With me, I've got
How'd you get this gig?
Do you know what? I was asking myself.
I know, you turned up last night in a hotel, a pair of specs on.
Did you like the specs?
Like a proper internet reporter.
We're going up levels. Everything's levels. We're here today, James DeGALE, just seen the media workout, as well as Andre DiRRELL. What are your thoughts on today so far?
Nothing's changed, just that this is a great fight. You know, Andre DiRRELL is a brilliant fighter, so is James DeGALE. Obviously, James DeGALE gets in for the media workout, looks sensational, does his interviews, speaks fantastically well, looks so confident. Then Andre DiRRELL gets in, does exactly the same thing, does a live on Sky, just exudes confidence. This is a great fight, James. You know, I mean, I think two of the top 168 pounders in the world. A lot of people think it's going to be a chess match. I don't think it will be, and I think James mustn't let that happen. I think he's got to force the pace. He's got to make Andre DiRRELL go back to his stall at the end of the third and fourth round with a look on his face like, wow, I'm not sure I can do 12 rounds, because he 100% struggles to make 168 pounds. And you know, you've seen him, especially in his last fight against Derek Edwards, get hurt badly in the last round. So this is a great chance for James, but at the same time, a very, very difficult fight.
What would it mean for James DeGALE? You spend a lot of time with him, you've seen his journey up close and personal probably over the last 12 months. What would it mean to him to become an Olympic gold medalist and a super middleweight champion of the world?
You know, a lot of fighters are in the sport for various reasons. You know, people want to win titles, people want a legacy, people want to achieve something in their life, people want to make money, some people want to do all of them. I'm not sure I've seen a fighter that's hell-bent on making history like James DeGALE is, and it's not a case of, you know, he's had this in his mind since he turned pro that he wants to win a world title. The fact that he'd be the first Olympic gold medalist to go on from Britain and do that is a bonus. But he's so driven to become world champion. He wants it so bad, and I think that could be the factor that wins him this fight. Paulie Malignaggi said to me earlier, you know, he said both these guys are so good. He said, but if James DeGALE wants to win this fight, if he really wants to win this fight, he can win this fight. And trust me, he really, really wants to win this fight. You know, working with James like over the last year, that's how long it's been. I always thought he was a bit of a knob, to be honest with you. I've known him around for a long time, you know, but in the build-up to the Groves fight and stuff like that, he come across terribly, and he let George wind him up, and George is brilliant at that. But he sort of, you know, a lot of people felt the same way. Getting to know James DeGALE, all he is a kid from northwest London who wants to go out and achieve his dreams. And he's got a lovely family, he's got a big heart, he's just driven to succeed. And you can't really knock people like that, do you know what I mean? He minds his own business, all he wants to do is achieve his goals. And you can't knock someone for that, you know? So he's actually a very likeable guy, and I think the support that he's got from back home, it's all kind of transformed for him over the last year. You know, I feel like he's gone from a guy that's sort of not an outsider of British boxing, but now, and a lot of the tweets he's been getting and stuff like that, it lifts you, especially when you're out here. You know, like he come down to breakfast and say, I can't believe the support I'm getting from back home. Oh, I'm buzzing. And people shouldn't underestimate, you know, how important those well wishes are from back home, especially when you're trying to represent your country over here.
It's funny you mentioned that. I said I agree the same thing. I think the turning point with James and his likability factor increasing was when he started to laugh at himself a little bit. And just sort of...
that happens when you become older and you become more experienced in life. Like, he doesn't take himself that seriously anymore. You know, he hasn't got a chip on his shoulder. You know, he's had those years where he was sort of swanning around and 23, 24. You know, it's a bit like Mitchell. You know, it's the same. Even Kell Brook. And then you get to an age, settle down, you have a couple of kids or whatever, and you think, you know what? All I want to do is achieve my goals in life. And different things become important to you at different stages in your life. When you're 23, 24, 25, really all you want to do is be one of the lads, go out and enjoy yourself. But life can pass you by. And if you don't take those opportunities when they come, you'll be one of those fighters that sits there at 40 years old and goes, I was a great fighter, you know, I should have won a world title. And that's hard to take. It's no nice life looking back with those kind of regrets. And that's why I want Kevin Mitchell to win a world title so badly next week. Because I said to him in the gym, I said, you know, you win this world title, Kev, you won't have any regrets for the rest of your life. You can always look back and say, I won a world title. It's like Darren Barker. You know, he's retired. He is so happy inside. that he achieved his goals. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what happens in his life, he can sit around and say, I don't really care because I want to win a world title. Kell Brook's saying, and James can do that on Saturday night, and Kevin can do that, and Lee Selby can do that. It's such a great time for British boxing, but you have to take these chances, and it's very difficult. If it wasn't, everyone would be doing it. You can't just go into the ring and win. You know, you have to work for years and years and years, but most importantly, you have to execute a game plan. You know, people say, fight's won in the camp. I don't believe that. Of course you've got to train hard. The fight's won on Saturday night, especially with two guys with so much skill. The fight is won by executing the game plan better than your opponent and having more heart and desire and making him work so hard that come 6 or 7 rounds, you have to ask yourself, how bad do you want it? And I know the answer from James DeGALE, I just don't know the answer from Andre DeRell.
What did you make of Willie DeRell today? He's trying to roll James. It's for us, it's interesting to watch and great to watch. What did you make
That's his job. I mean, I was doing an interview and he came over, started filming me, had a little pop at me, but that's what Willie DeRell is there to do. He's there to unsettle the opponents. You know, I mean, I said to him, you know, he's the only brother that's not achieved anything. You know, but he's like, no, but he talks like he's a world champion, you know, but you can't let yourself get rattled by him because when you do, he's won. But Willie DeRell's alright, he shakes your hand after, but that's what he's there to do, he's there to unsettle you. You know, he said, DeRell's going to win, man, new chat. I said, listen, if he does, congratulations, he deserves it. DeGale's going to wish he never came. I said, well, like I said, if your brother wins, congratulations, he deserves it. But it won't be thanks to you, and you won't have a say in what happens in the fight on Saturday night, my old son.
They have a different patter to us, don't they?
Yeah. Well, they don't even speak either. You know, so. But like I said, you know, you can't. If they get a reaction, they feel like they've won. And Willie DeRell is there tomorrow. You know, the press conference will be exactly the same. You know, he'll be shouting things out when James is talking, and he'll want a reaction from James. He'll want James to get rattled. James might be walking to the ring. He might be standing at the sideline shouting something out. You know. But this is the tactics. But I kind of feel like if you've got that tactic in your locker, you've got to be half worried. Do you know what I mean? What's the point? If you believe in yourself and you think you're a great fighter, what do you need your brother for? Just constantly.
Interesting enough, looking at the posters now, you'd think it would say like IBF world title belts. I don't know why I get why the posters are not.
I think this is the new strategy, isn't it? Moving forward, I think there seems to be a clear strategy to move away from world titles, you know, and to be honest, it's not something I'm really comfortable with or I agree with. I think the dream is to win a world title. You know, James says, you know, will they show me getting presented with the belt? And the answer is no, they won't. You know, and for me, the defining moment in James DeGale's life is becoming world champion. And you don't become world champion by someone telling you you're world champion. You become by wearing the world title and displaying it and walking proud with that title, you know. So
you think they kind of could be robbing the champion of that moment, so to speak? No, I think it's a hard thing to say, but I
think they've got plans to do something, and this is their way of doing it. You know, I think the PBC and you know they do some things absolutely brilliantly, and there's other things that I don't quite agree with, but they're not going to get it all right straight away. You know, they have music for fighters to walk into. I don't agree with that from a marketing standpoint and a profile standpoint. I believe that your entrance music actually defines your character.
It reflects the person.
It does, and you know, different people come out to different music, but that's what, when you hear that noise, whether it's Kell Brook, All of the Lights, or you know, Carl Froch, Welcome to the Jungle, you know that fighter's coming out, and that gets them pumped. And I don't agree with that as well. But you know, they're doing huge stuff for boxing. It's turned boxing on its head over here. But for me, you know, and I know I talk about money a lot, and of course that's important. You've got to make sure these fighters are secure. But fighters want to win world titles. That's what they dream about. So they want to become the new IBF champion of the world. And growing up for me, I know the belts. You know, IBF's red and gold, and I always remember the WBC green and gold, and you know, that's how I feel. Maybe the new age of fans doesn't want the belts.
I think it's a case that maybe they haven't got a choice. It's kind of the way things are going, isn't it?
Maybe. You know, maybe you're looking at a new UFC model where the PBC could be the new belts. But like I said, interesting times, and you know, we have to see what happens.
Andre DeRell's brother Anthony DeRell losing to Daddy Jack in what was a bit of a shock decision, really. Probably fancied DeRell before that fight. Daddy Jack now going to fight George Groves. First bids and that'll be going ahead. Does that kind of make the possibility of James DeGALE, George Groves too?
Depends what happens, doesn't it? I think that fight is always such a brilliant fight. You know, I tried to make it a few months back for the vacant title. Fingers crossed, DeGALE can beat. DeGALE can beat DeRell. Fingers crossed, Groves can beat Badu Jack, and then wow, set up a massive fight next summer. But there's a lot of things that have got to happen. You know, but I think that all these fights, you know, we talk about them all the time, don't we? Brook against Carl, Frampton against Grigg, DeGALE against Groves, and we will get there. We will get there, believe me. But they just take time, but they're going to be worth waiting for.
Speaking of Carl, we know he's not made a decision yet as to what he's going to do, but in the back of his mind, you know how much he's excited by Fight Week, and deep down the same as he's a real fighter. Yeah. Will he be thinking this could have been me in Boston?
No, I don't think so.
How would he react to that?
Well, he'll be working for Sky. Carl Froch is also a boxing fan. He's intrigued by this fight between DeRell and DeGALE. He nearly fought one of them, and he boxed one of them. And he rates Andre DeRell really, really highly.
Obviously, of course, he fought him in Nottingham.
Of course, yeah. But, you know, nothing really changes. If Carl Froch can't get motivated for a fight, he should never fight again. You know, and people say, well, how can he not get motivated? I'm just telling you the truth. You know, it's not, you can't make yourself motivated for a fight. It's just in here. You know what I mean? You can't sit at home and go, yeah, I want to. You have the hunger to get off your sofa, to do the hard runs, the hard sparring. But Carl Froch is a fighter that is built on determination, desire, and if he hasn't got that, he's not the same fighter. And I wouldn't like to see him go into a fight without that and then lose or box badly, and then you sit back when you're older and go, why did I take that last fight? You know, of course, from a fight fan's perspective, I love Froch Golovkin. You know, it's one of them that you watch like that.
We all do.
You know,
it's a fantastic. It'll be a fantastic.
The fact is that fight is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and potentially you might get to a stage where that fight is too big to ignore. I spoke to Tom Loeffler this morning about the fight, and don't rule it out. Don't rule it out, but also don't rule out Carl Froch retiring. So I'd love to give you more. I'd love to see Carl Froch back in the ring as a fan, as a friend. I want him to make the right decision that means that he can live with that decision for the rest of his life. Because when you leave the game, it's important to me that my fighters leave the game happy. Not just financially, but mentally and emotionally, and say, you know, I had a great career, I'm now going to have my next life. Because life after boxing can be tough. You know, we've seen it with so many fighters. How can you walk out in front of 80,000 people and have a fight with that kind of adrenaline and then just walk away and then what? Do your gardening and just do media stuff? Where's the buzz coming from in your life that you once had? So you have to be content. And you know, it's important that fighters leave the game, not just financially, but mentally and emotionally stable. And I feel that if Carl walked away now, he'd be all of those three.
If he does walk away now, we know Carl's obviously financially secure, but is he missing a real big opportunity to cash out, so to speak? A lot of fighters look at the point.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, he could go and make massive money. He's made massive money. You know, and the money that Carl Froch has got, he could never spend it in, I mean, unless he just went crazy. You know, which we've seen a lot of fighters do, but he's not that kind of person. He crafted so hard for that money. There is the argument that now we're there, we should cash in with a few more, but when you've got that money, it's not like, it doesn't, you know, I hate to sound like, but a couple of millions, it doesn't mean anything to him, do you know what I mean? I know that.
How much has he actually got then?
Mate, listen, I'll tell you, James, when I signed Carl Froch, he really wasn't earning the kind of money that he should have done. I mean, when he fought Andre Ward in a unification fight, in the Super 6 final, the money, to be quite honest with you, was embarrassing. But he was already inherited into a contract. Since then, and Lucien Boutte was the fight. That was the turning point in Carl Froch's career. You know, since then, obviously, he's had 3 fights on box office. But I told him, you know, I'll never forget that when we went to the Andre Ward press conference, I said to him, you know what? I said, my aim is to earn you £10 million from now till you retire. And he looked at me, he was like, oh, if you could do that. Well, we've smashed that to smithereens, you know. But again, Carl Froch is the kind of guy, he's such a normal guy, he could live on a tenth of what he's got. He could probably live on 100th of what he's got. And he's been clever. He's got his houses, he's got properties, he's got, you know, he's watched the fight again. It's not money. Legacy? I think he's got a great legacy.
Oh, good.
So what else are we fighting for? Curiosity? We're fighting Golovkin? How hard does he really hit? You know, is he the same fighter at 168 pounds? Because Carl will phone me after a Golovkin fight and go, it's almost like he wants to feel how hard Golovkin punches. He's that sick, you know. But don't rule the Golovkin fight out, but again, don't rule him retiring out either.
I want to ask you something now. Is Carl Froch a comedy genius, or is he misunderstood? What? Because we see sometimes some of the things he says, and there's rumours within boxing that sometimes he plays up to it and does. Oh,
he massively plays up to it. But it's one of them again, where he says things like before he. I'll give you an example. Before that Mayweather line, he said, "Watch this. Watch what I'm going to say to Mayweather." Right? And it's like he does it, and you go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "How funny was that?" It's like, yeah, but people don't think you were joking. People, you know, oh, they must do, surely. And all we see on Twitter is, what is he? Wow. But he is. You know, I've been with him before, James. People have come up to him and gone, "Carl, I followed you all over the world, you know, Denmark, Atlantic City, Wembley. It'd mean the world to me if you could just sign this, would you?" And he goes, "No," and walks off. And then turns around 2 seconds later and goes, "I'm only joking, mate." And like the guy's gone. I'm like, "Carl, what are you doing?" "Oh no." Where is? Try and find him for me. It's like that bloke. You've lost that bloke for life. So he's very dry. He's got a very dry sense of humour. He does come out with some rascals without trying to be funny. But a lot of the time it is him tongue in cheek. But
I think he pissed Ambrose off the other week.
Yeah. Well, I think you've got that DeGALE Froch situation where DeGALE really wanted that fight. I think they kind of felt like Carl was messing him around a little bit, but Carl was just searching for a decision and not really knowing what he's going to do. And you know what? He still don't know what he's going to do. Nearly a year on in Wembley. But I said straight after that fight in Wembley, I said it's going to be hard for Froch to fight again after this, and I'm not sure he will. And now we're a year on, and we don't know. Actually, it's going to be a year. Our huge show at the O2 next week. It's going to be a year since Wembley. May the 31st.
It actually doesn't. A little bit on the show next week. I know we're going to be covering that anyway, but said probably your biggest card domestically of the year.
Of the year. Wow. I can't remember a better card. You probably have to go back to the days of, like, I don't know, maybe the full Monty. And that was like 16 years ago. Someone said to me on Twitter the other day, "Oh, it's a good card, but it's not." I said, "Okay, tell me a better card in the last 10 years." I can't do it. You've got John Wayne Hibbert against Dave Ryan. That's on at 5 o'clock. That's like a great 50-50 fight for the Commonwealth title.
John Ryder versus Nick Blackwell.
Scotty Cardle against Craig Evans for the British lightweight title. Total 50-50. John Ryder against Nick Blackwell for the British middleweight title. Total 50-50. You've got Lee Selby against Yevgeny Gradovich, the IBF champion, who's defending his title for the 5th time. Lee Selby to become the world champion. Another great fight. You've got Anthony Joshua against Kevin Johnson. Trust me when I say that's going to catch fire this week coming. You're going to get some gold footage on that. Then you've got Kevin Mitchell against 3-weight world champion Jorge Linares. It is one of the best fights I've ever made, that fight. I'm like that Kev can pull that off. And then you've got Kell Brook fighting Birmingham's Frankie Gavin for the IBF World Welterweight title in the same division as Floyd Mayweather. First time, we're trying to do the stats on this. I think the first time 2 Brits have ever fought for a World Welterweight title. If you're watching this, or anyone watching this, can you give me the research on that and tweet me? Because I want to plug the granny out of that next week at the press conference. But it's just an amazing card. I'm so excited to sit there for 7 hours and watch live boxing in fights that are just intriguing from start to finish. And we've had some bad luck. But we're not going to solve
this the other day. The amount of pull-outs across the board is unbelievable.
Someone just asked me about that and said, has it been difficult? The answer is no. You get up, you go to work. We had this interview before, and you graft the same as you do whether things are rosy. Doesn't matter if you're a window cleaner or a boxing promoter. One day you might fall off your ladder and sprain your ankle. You still get up and go to work, don't you?
Yeah.
Anthony Crolla got hit over the head by a burglar. Kell Brook got stabbed. Anthony Joshua got a stress fracture. Bradley Saunders broke his hand. I mean, the list is endless. But you know the thing about life, swings in roundabouts. So when you've had a bad little run, you're going to go on a great run. And that might start with James DeGALE winning the world title this Saturday. And with, I believe, one of the best shows Britain's ever seen at the O2 on May the 30th. A great show in Liverpool. Scott Quigg against Kiko Martinez, and Scott Quigg against Kiko Martinez. Anthony Crolla against Darlis Perez, double header for the world titles. We've got a big run coming. We've got some big news coming tomorrow for British boxing as well. So you grab me about midday before the press conference and we'll do a little bit on it. But it's huge news for us, huge news for our fighters, and huge news for British boxing. It's in a great place.
All right. Well, listen, I can't thank you enough for your time. We're going to enjoy Boston a little bit, do some interviews, a bit more work, and we'll catch you tomorrow.
Don't pretend.
What, pretend what?
A bit more work. You're straight out of here, straight down for a couple of Samuel Adams.
Do you know what? We're actually going to watch the Boston Red Sox today.
Are you?
Yeah.
Courtesy of?
Courtesy of, I think me actually.
I thought it was Matchroom. I thought Winkle was doing it all.
I thought
or maybe you weren't invited on that.
Someone's just grabbed 50 quid off it.
Yeah.
So, there we go. Listen, thanks for your time, Ed. I'll catch you tomorrow. Cheers, man.